Hey guys, Darren Benson again with Performance Motorcoaches. Let's do a video of a 40 Explorer. This is the bath and a half, so the 40 ERB. Not too much has changed with these things. A little bit of decor change on the inside. As far as exterior, kind of the #1 seller, the Stratus Paint job. Chassis been the same, really hasn't changed other than they went from 505 to 525. I guess it was like mid 2023. We do have, this is good news for me, we do have some 116, which is the short hood with the DT transmission coming. The first ones will be in a tandem, but we will get some in a single axle to be able to build some Explorers on. So I think those are going to be really fun to drive. I think it'll be a rocket ship with the DT transmissions, but they are coming. I just can't tell you exactly when. I think chassis will start arriving after the first, chassis will start arriving at the end of the year, and hopefully the coaches will be available slightly after the first of the year. So this is an Allison transmission, so 525 horse, 1850 torque, but the 6-speed Allison. And they're still, you know, I drive them and they're fun to drive around because they're smaller units. The driver that helps us quite a bit, you know, he likes driving these things because he basically calls them little sports cars because they're smaller, very agile, but I'm still a bigger fan of the DT. So not too much has changed exterior wise. We got all the slide outs out, but they did do what is called a combined storage compartment. Of course, the customer wanted an outdoor cooler here. We had to do a little modification. Typically that outdoor cooler would not work there because it's relatively tall, but we modified that bracket. That's some of the stuff we do. You know, some of that not off the wall, but you know, a lot of people don't want to start modifying the coach to be able to accommodate a cooler, but we're able to get that done. Of course, Aqua Hot here, outdoor TV here. I don't think we can get a power washer in that compartment. What do you think? Probably can't, but we did one earlier in a Classic. Said we'll go pretty darn quick. Sorry for the mess. We'll make sure we do another video of when we do the install of the big Hurd front bumper. The Classic next door is getting a Hurd bumper. We just loaded it up to take it to get it coated, so wanted to have that as part of the video, but it's gone. So definitely, so all Explorers, like the XLs, have a little bit taller storage compartment than the Classic. So what you lack in overall space, you got to gain a little bit in some height on them. So central vac back there, you do have a little bit bigger compartment back here as well. All your tools are there. And that 3/4 pass-through is pretty nice. You have something longer, maybe a brush. And of course, you know, with the combined storage, you put your brush there and your ladder up there. Nothing really changed on the back of these things. You know, we do have some customers that do a fair amount of towing, but I've said it and I'll say it over and over, these things are not designed for a big monster stacker. If you have a 22 foot, not a problem, but you just don't want to put a lot of tongue weight on the back of these things. You just don't want to overload the back axle. They're rated at 23,000. You know, a lot of debate there, but I don't want anybody buying these things and putting their 32 foot you know, monster stacker back behind that has 6,000 pounds of tongue weight. 8K generators standard all the way across the board. Could that be upgraded with a 10? Yes, but probably not by us. I just don't want to add any additional weight to the back of these coaches. They're fine the way they are. They're fine with smaller trailers, but don't overload the back axle on them. Transfer switch in place there. They started doing the sea level monitoring, got away from the true tank, a lot better system, a lot better setup, and they put a monitor outside. So just if you're filling your tank, you don't have to go inside, you don't have to look at your app. You can fill your tank there, and then additionally you can kind of check your gray and your black water tanks as well. It does have the factory equipped macerator pump on it. 75 gray, 75 black. And this coach we just optioned 2 of the lithiums right here. We will add one of the air conditioners on the inverter up here and do a soft start. But if anybody ever wanted to add additional batteries, it's effective, we can do up to 4 batteries in that compartment. And I suppose we could probably add another one in there. So if you were boondocking machine, we'll load you up with a whole bunch of batteries. The 116, because the axle gets pushed back a little bit, in comparison to the 126, you'll notice you'll lose a little bit more storage right here as the def tank and the fuel tank get pushed back. So if this was a 126, this would be right here. Your def tank would be right here. The axle gets pushed up. The cab doesn't change 116 to 126. However, this is different, and this is a little bit different because the axle gets pushed back a little bit further. I said standard, they're doing just a black powder coat there. It's tough to have to worry about getting that polished all the time. If the guy wanted that polished, we could definitely get it done. Easy cab entry. We've got some molded floor liners that we'll get thrown in there. It's kind of just mid-install, right? Standard. Starting last year, they went with the 7-inch monitor on the overhead. And this does have the full digital dash-in as well. Let's jump inside. I'll show you a few upgrades we've done. This one doesn't get, but we do have, that's the grill guard. We stock some of the, trying to blank out on the name of the grill guard. X-Guard. We do stock some of these. Of course, this is flipped around. We stock them in the lower profile, the higher profile, silver, and black. And there's the minimizers. We'll get thrown in there later on today. A little warm in the shop, so we fired up the air conditioner. So as far as floor plan, there's really nothing that's changed floor plan wise. The decors have changed slightly. I believe this floor, I know it was there for the 23. I think they changed it a little bit for the 22 to 23. It looks good. I'm a neat freak. It does have a little bit of texture to it. That's the only bad thing about this particular floor. With a little bit of texture, if your feet are really dirty, it's going to take a lot of that dirt off your feet. Of course, I don't wear shoes inside a motorhome, so it's not a big deal for me. But open area, the furniture changed slightly. It's kind of a more modern look. They went a little bit taller theater seats as well, and they changed the decor as far as your some of your window toppers there. But not much else has changed. The wood stain changed slightly from Woodstock to Lakewood. I mean, if you were looking at them side by side, you could tell them, but ultimately, coach to coach, you really won't tell any deviation there. The storage there, and then I'll show you where we did the Starlink. I really wish that at some point in time they would lower. You could tell they could actually lower the floor height down a little bit, and then maybe do a TV here, just to open up some additional options as far as floor plan goes. Samsung refrigerator, we're working on it still. We did a little water filter system here, oddly enough, from Lippert. And I don't know if you can kind of catch it around the side there. And then we did move, standard, they have a subwoofer there. We moved the subwoofer back behind this panel to be able to give you some more room there. Pretty easy deal. It is an option if a customer wants a fireplace here. Me personally, I just can't stand to bring them in with the fireplace simply because I see that in travel trailers, and so I kind of like to differentiate it. You know, if I was in my coach a lot more in cold environment, I might enjoy it, but from the outside looking in, I just prefer not to have that. TV does move out here, so you do have some storage back behind. Put all your Back to the Future DVDs back in there, and Animal House DVDs. You have it on both sides. Sound bar right there, and then put your Nintendo 64 and your whatever player back there. So I prefer the storage right there, and like I said, we can put the subwoofer back behind there, regardless of whether you have the fireplace or not. So slightly taller on these theater seats. Very modern look. was something that Dieter designed. So we're staying a little bit taller. If I was sitting here, not having to stare at the sun, but better than they were in the past. Definitely better than they were in the past. So right up here is where we installed the Starlink. We did have to put a 110 connection here. Luckily, our 110 was not too far away. Of course, when we reconfigured the air conditioner, we always balance the coach, make sure everything is good to go, but we pull all that out anyhow, so it's relatively easy to take and put some Romex top to bottom there, and that's kind of, you know, storage you're really not going to use anyhow. So half bath, not a ton of room, but all the room you really need to get your business done and wash your hands. They changed the hardware slightly there, a more modern look. I think that light changed as well for 24. Not really things changed here. One thing I brought up in the past, this is a 75-inch long mattress. We have done some mattresses that basically folded right here, so you could accommodate a longer 80-inch mattress. So, you know, I've slept on 75, and my feet were at the very edge. But you know, there again, just preference. I wish they would go a full 80 and cut the cabinets down a little bit to be able to accommodate a full 80-inch. But that's standard on the Veronas, the Verona LEs as well. If you're a shorter guy, not a problem. So they changed this up slightly as well. I believe it was on this side they had the cabinet below. They added drawers, probably a little bit more usable than just throwing all your laundry in there. They used to have like an access panel. It was either this side or this side, but it had an access panel, but they've added drawers to it, which probably a little more beneficial as well. No really change elsewhere. No change on this side as well. You do have a master control. Turn all your lights off, turn them back on, start and stop your generator, then run your fan as well. So we did a video of a solid white 38. This shower is actually no different from 38 to 40. You just have a bigger cabinet here. So do the shower test. You know, kind of tough to do a fold down bench in this because there's not a lot of room if you do the bench in here, so you kind of have that if you need to shave your legs, with a little bit tighter shower, but there's no difference in 38 to 40. Standard will be the skylight for the Explorer line, and then we'll flip-flop around. You know, still I would say the 40 is probably a lot more desirable, but this little deal just kind of drives me nuts. It's just preference. It's just so you kind of have to hold that back, and luckily it does. But I guess if you were dual purpose, doing it all at once, it give you a little bit more advantage. But it's a little bit tight. That's the reason why I like the 38 a little bit more, just because this seems a little bit tight. But that's what happens when you're trying to pile everything on a relatively short coach. But as far as open area, you do have a fair amount of open area here. Storage there. Change the sink slightly as well. Of course, the backsplash, and then I don't know if you can catch the closet here. So definitely a lot more room if you were traveling the coach quite a bit. Be able to have lots of storage here, all your hanging clothes there, and the hanging closet there as well. So, said all in all, nothing's changed too much, other than a few little minor upgrades. Probably a little bit better looking coach than it was 2 years ago. They still sell really well. They're still a very desirable coach. So we do have some unsold that are coming after the first of the year or towards the end of the year. So if you're looking for one of these guys, let us know. And as far as upgrades, whether you're a customer or not, we've had several customers. We're gaining a lot more customers in service upgrades. There's so many dealers out there that have been bought out by big box stores, and they don't want to do all the upgrades, and that's something we really like doing. We got great technicians here. Everybody that comes and gets to meet the techs, and, they become friends with them. So that's kind of what we're getting known for. And it kind of goes along with being a good reputable dealer, is being able to offer all those things, to be knowledgeable about the additions you can add to these things. Like I said, something as simple as a Starlink or water filter, anything like that. But definitely appreciate you guys coming out and watching the video. We do have a really cool 43 CMD Classic. We'll get done probably next week before it gets back to Texas. And then we'll just kind of roll out from there. But gonna be a busy fall. We will be at the Hershey RV show assisting Show Hauler, one of the other custom C manufacturers. But excited about going out to Pennsylvania for a while. Gonna eat a lot of chocolate. But thanks again for always watching. Make sure you guys like, tag, and subscribe.